Hello all. This won't be polished because I was introduced to 40 Creek. So it's been a buddy of mine since last year. Essentially, I'm just going to kind of talk about what works for our city. The market's quite a bit different in all areas of the country, as you know. We find that the demographic that we're going after is quite it's young money. There's a lot of money, but they're all well educated, and there aren't many folks that are fools or easily fooled back there. So you really have to be on your toes, and it's a volatile market because of the oil industry. So you can be flying wide open. These oil guys don't sit on their money, they like to spend it. But if there's bad news, they just hit the brakes and it's tumbleweeds. So you try and diversify and do what you can. So what happened back after about 18 years in the industry, I guess it was back in 2000, I had been through fixed price contracting and cost plus and different models, and at the time we were doing fixed price contracting, and we decided that it was time to make a change because I had one of my employees made a major screw up, and after that many years you'd think you're getting ahead and had lots of overhead. You're kind of climbing up, and then have a bad year or a rough patch, or somebody makes a screw up and back you go and into the line of credit. Didn't seem right to me. So it was time to reevaluate and set some personal goals. I just thought it was time to look at things different because I didn't want to be doing this 20 years from then and trying to find a way to retire. Not that I want to do that yet, but sorry, this thing's not working very good. So essentially, I wanted to get off the treadmill. I wanted less stress, and this is from a personal standpoint. I wanted to net more money, minimize my personal risk and liability, and I wanted more personal time. I had been through round one on marriage and 2 kids, and apparently I was a workaholic. And so it was like, well, I guess I should change everything and start over and reevaluate. So essentially, once I did that, I wanted to make a business model that worked. I'm having trouble with this, guys. Sorry. There we go. So I customized the business model that would suit my needs, and I wanted something with a competitive edge, minimal overhead. Because in Calgary, like I said, when the oil guys stop, you got to be able to turn on a dime and not have this mammoth beast to feed on a monthly basis. There's guys I know that have a $50,000 nut to crack just to get out of bed in the morning. And if you run into a rough patch and have 4 or 5 months of slow times, that's quite a loss. And it is very competitive. We're seeing tract builders with deep pockets that are all coming into the Reno market. Fortunately, thus far, the homeowners don't hire them for anything other than a basement. But I just wanted to be able to adapt to market conditions really quick and offer true transparency and minimize the objections. So because the demographic that we go after are extremely educated, when you're competing, if you can overcome the objections before they even arise, would increase your odds of getting landing a contract. So and increased referrals. and establish a trusted brand known for quality and value. So we came up with this safeguard system. Essentially, it's a modified project management version. A lot of the commercial work is done the same way. Excuse me. So it's fully transparent. The customers approve all the quotes and pay the trades directly. They don't pay us other than our management fee. And we do billings on a semi-monthly basis, so everyone's exposure is minimized to 2 weeks or thereabouts. We charge a flat 26% of the actual costs in place relating to the project. The project manager, so that would be yourself as a sole proprietor or one of your guys that you've hired. They update the spreadsheets, compile the billings on a semi-monthly basis, and they collect and distribute the payments. So there's a lot more responsibility on them than just a site super. And they've got some skin in the game, so they're a lot less apt to make screw-ups, and if they do, it comes out of their fee that I pay them. And they're on site daily, not the full day, but they're in there and out of there a couple times a day, depending on what's going on at the time. Managing and tracking, and they're communicating with the customers, and everything's CC'd through the office so that I know what's going on. And then I make visits to all the sites. One day a week is dedicated to, that's what I do, is just go to all the sites. So this is our spreadsheet, which you probably can't read very well, but it goes on 4 or 5 pages depending on how big the job is. But we break it all out in a line item, and this thing gets populated on an ongoing basis. So our first column has a budget that we do, and then the approved quotes that are signed off by the customer are then populated in the supplier quote column there. And then as the job's progressing, when the invoices come in, the project manager is inputting those, and then it shows who's paid and what's owing, and that just continues on every semi-monthly basis. And all the relative invoices are attached to that spreadsheet. So the customer has a view of everything that's going on through your own eyes, and there's no surprises for them because they pre-approved every quote. So the basic, I call it the KISS breakdown of this, and I've based this on a $3 million gross volume. And the reason I've done that is because in a year, in our marketplace, one project manager or sole proprietor should be able to run $3 million worth of work. We'll be doing, sorry, I'm going to turn this down if I know how. This year we're on track to do about 9.2 gross. And each project manager I have, sorry, I'm going to put this away because you guys will probably hear this. Essentially, our gross based on $3 million would be 26% management fee of $780,000. And you can relate this to yourselves if you're doing about that volume or higher. The project manager gets 10%, so he's well overpaid for the industry, but he's got way more responsibility, which takes a lot off of me. And they've kind of got some skin in the game with this, which allows 3% for marketing, 3% for overhead. And that's the big thing, is we don't have a ton of overhead. I don't have a big fancy office and a big fancy showroom. We've got nice trucks on the road, good marketing materials and web, etc., but that's about it. So I can literally, if you know, when October 2008, when the recession hit, we dropped down to about $6 million in volume, but I was able to dial back our marketing, and really, if we had gone to tumbleweeds, I could have ran that company on my own, because these project managers are not employees. They have their own company, and they provide their trucks, company colors, and they're logoed, but they have their own expenses. And the whole idea behind this is they're almost viewing it like a partnership, because if they are doing a great job and they have happy clients, when those clients refer another job, he gets the first dibs on those. So once they get, as time goes on, a better referral base, he can afford to bring a site super on under his wing. He's got a business within a business. And it's proven to work extremely well. So at the end of the day, you want to have at least a 10% profit. If you're running as a sole proprietor, that 10% PM fee is in your pocket because you're paying yourself that. So you would end up with $600,000 based on $3 million gross volume with this system. So it works out pretty well. And there's a lot less responsibility on you as far as time, and it allows you to do other things. So that's basically the guidelines, if someone was just starting out, would be to operate really lean and not be cheap. Like when you do invest in something, get the best, but don't waste it. Have the best dependable, personable trades and suppliers who back their work or product, which you guys probably already have anyway. Same with a good bookkeeper, accountant, and lawyer. Home and mobile offices with cloud. And we use cloud basically for a common area for clients, PMs, and myself to all meet up and extract and provide information to each other. Good web designer and SEO team. We're just in the middle of revamping our whole website and stuff, so that's actually something that I've let slip that we're working on right now. Good graphic illustrator, professional image, trucks, yard signs, marketing mediums. So as I said, no fancy offices or unnecessary staff, and to stay flexible. Golden rules, and this works for us in Calgary. We have a $100,000 project minimum. We probably wouldn't make a lot of money or do the volume if we were doing Sally screened or at $30,000 a pop or whatever. So I answer the phones and I qualify that call. That way I know basically if it's worth going to, and if they tell me the scope of work and I say the reason I'm asking is because we have a $100,000 project minimum, and if it's under that, I say, sorry, we're just not set up to take on those smaller projects. And then I refer it off to someone who I know is good at small stuff. And I attend the initial site visit, and I just talk straight. I don't candy coat anything. I'm not a butthead, but I try and be polite and just frank, and people seem to appreciate that. We don't charge for our first consultation because at that point, I've qualified them enough to make, in my mind, it's not a wasted trip. So, and they usually turn out not to be a wasted trip. Never set yourself up for failure, and never make a desperate sale. Those are two things that I try and live by, because I remember way back years ago when I needed cash flow and made a desperate sale, it always bit me in the ass, guaranteed. So I just don't even bother now. I'd rather go home and watch Dr. Phil. But always under promise and over deliver, and constantly manage people's expectations. And it's just to keep them aware and doesn't lead into frustration or assumptions on their part. And always go the extra mile. And we pound this into our PM's heads all the time. And as an owner, keep an eye on your PMs and the project. So that's where I stay in touch daily through the CC'd emails and phone calls and all the paperwork that goes through. And then once a week, I'm at the job sites and communicate constantly.